I find myself questioning, what is my why? What is my purpose? I was sexually molested as a child by a family member. I had a father who was a coach and a religious speaker, traveled all around the world coaching people and families on how to live a more religious life. And yet when he was home, he didn't know what to do with me. He didn't know how to have a daughter. I was an afterthought, a burden. I had a stepmother who told me clearly the way we've raised you had no impact. I had a mother who told me I would never amount to anything. I grew up knowing I had no value and no worth, and yet I wanted it so desperately. I searched for it. When I was 20, I met my daughter's father. He was an out. He was an out from the life that I was living in my home. And I married him, not realizing he was an alcoholic, an addict, and an abuser. He gave me 3 concussions over the term of that relationship. But he blessed me with my daughter who's 29 today, and one of the lights in my life. I got out of that relationship and I chased my career. Maybe then I'll have value. Maybe then I'll have worth. Fast forward many years, I met my son's father. Swept me off my feet. I thought for sure this is the one. This is my Prince Charming. This is every dream come true. What I didn't realize was he too was an alcoholic, an abuser, an addict. But he blessed me with my son. I was told many years ago I couldn't have any more children after my daughter and 2 miscarriages. And yet my miracle boy is 15 today. Another light of my life. When I was in the relationship with his father, something wasn't right. I knew something wasn't right, but I was told it was me. Everything was my fault. I deserved to have guns pulled out on me and cocked at me and pointed at me, and the sexual abuse that resulted in emergency surgery, that was my fault. That was my fault. Nothing I did was right. Nobody liked me. Nobody wanted to be around me. I was the problem in that relationship. And I tried, and I tried, and I tried. And I gave every last bit of myself to get that loving, wonderful Prince Charming back. Failing to realize that that Prince Charming never existed. It was a facade. But I chased it. I chased it to my detriment. I found myself in a black hole, what I called a black hole, insurmountable depression. Not even realizing that's what it was at the time, but that's what it was. I didn't want to live anymore. Something was wrong. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't fix it. It had to be me. The world was better off without me. Thankfully, I reached out for help. I found the help that I needed in my therapist, in psychiatric care, in friends, loved ones, support groups. I realized I had been in an abusive relationship. You see, there were very few bruises. Most of the bruises were on my wrists, so that I couldn't get away when I was being cursed out to the extent that I was being spit at. There were bruises from slaps, but I was told, I'm just joking. I'm just playing. Can't you take a joke? The emergency surgery from the sexual abuse, that wasn't enough to make me realize there was something wrong, because that was my fault as well. I wanted that. You want that. You like that. Despite the fact that I would cry and beg, please, no. It wasn't listened to. During that time, I chased my career even more. Hard. Maybe then I'll be enough. Maybe then I'll have value. I chased that acronym and I got it. And I was on my way to the next acronym, the biggest one that I had goals to, that VP. I wanted that. But once I got the first acronym, I realized that it didn't change anything. I still felt worthless. I still felt less than. I still felt like I had no value. And the stress and the anxiety that was going on in my own household, compounded by the fact that there was stress and anxiety from having that first acronym, I couldn't do it. So I stepped down. Because I had to put my relationship first, because that was the most important. I had to salvage that. I had to save that. So I gave up that acronym. After 15 years in that relationship, the infidelity, the lies, the abuse, I realize now, being 2 years out, just how abusive it was. Emotionally, physically, verbally, sexually, financially, you name it, I experienced it. There's still moments today where I don't realize how programmed I was. Something as simple as realizing I'm buying the same exact coffee I was ordered to buy. I listened to the music I was allowed to listen to. I go where I'm allowed to go. Every bit of programming that went on has taken conscious thought. It takes conscious thought on a daily basis to reprogram, to challenge what I call stinking thinking, to challenge the lies and the words that I still hear going round and round in my head like an old tape recorder, words from this person. What is my why after all of this? I'm a survivor. Absolutely. I'm a victor. Absolutely. I made it out. Absolutely. But my why is to open eyes. My purpose is to speak my story so that others can hear it and realize that they are not alone. That what you're going through, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, it's not okay. And it's not your fault. It's not my fault that I was sexually molested as a child. It's not my fault that my daughter's father gave me concussions. It's not my fault that my son's father is so sick. It's not my fault. But as Will Smith says, it is for damn sure my responsibility to fix what is within me that was broken, that led me into those situations, that led me into those relationships. And it is for sure my responsibility, when I get to the top, to turn around, reach my hand out, and pull others up. I want to be a voice. I want to be an inspiration. I want to challenge others. I want to share my story and have it be someone else's survival guide, because I didn't have the survival guide. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the examples. God forbid. I didn't know what I was going through was abuse. I didn't realize how broken I was. I didn't realize that my worth and my value were not contingent upon anyone else other than myself. How I felt about myself, what I did for myself, how I lived my life, how I chose to use my voice. My voice is powerful. My story is powerful. I am strong. I have such worth. I have compassion for others. I have love. I have empathy. I have understanding. I have gifts and talents that are beneficial to this world. I have a story that makes a difference in the lives of others. So what's my why? My why is to use my voice. My why is to speak my truth. Because there are others out there who don't have a voice. There are others out there who don't know what they're going through is not their fault, that it is abuse, that a person doesn't have to hit you or beat you or cut you or physically wound you for it to be abuse. Constant put downs, constant derogatory comments. The silent treatment. The silent treatment was my son's father's favorite tactic. The silent treatment. Because I wasn't worth his voice. I wasn't worth his time. I wasn't worth his words. I didn't rate his attention unless I behaved. Unless I did as I was told. It's abuse. I'm not being silent anymore, and I'm sure as hell not afraid anymore. I know who I am. I know my value. I know my worth. And my story will speak volumes, and my story will make a difference in this world. And I won't stop until the day they lay me in the ground. Because that's my why. That's my purpose. What's yours?